International Relations, Economic Development will now come to order. The clerk will call the roll.
Button,
Here.
Ordaz, Bumgarner.
Here.
Flaherty, Hayes.
Here.
Meza. Here. Morales. Here. Plesha. Here. Shine.
Here.
A quorum is present. If you wish to testify, please register at the iPad kiosk located in the hallway behind the hearing room. To respect everyone's time, please limit your testimony for 2 minutes. The chair lays out HB 1979 and offers a committee substitute. The chair recognizes Representative Rainey to explain the bill. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Button and members. I'm happy to be here with y'all this morning to lay out committee substitute for House Bill 1979. I guess that was a pretty good year. Last session, it's been a long time ago. This committee passed out a number of child care bills that help more children and families have the opportunity to access quality child care. Committee substitute House Bill 1979 builds upon that important work by updating the policies that support our local workforce development board's ability to help families access quality child care. These boards have critical responsibilities to help working families access child care services, allocate federal child care funding, and support local initiatives to improve the quality and sustainability of Texas child care. City Committee substitute House Bill 1979 is a simple bill that supports this work by ensuring transparent and consistent data, performance targets reflective of local child care needs, board membership that ensures child care representation, and consumer-friendly websites that better serve parents and child care providers. The committee substitute was directly worked on with the Texas Workforce Commission and clarifies the local performance targets and are solely focused on direct care for children and embeds the additional child care representation in the existing categories. The substitute also ensures that there's no fiscal note on this bill. We have several witnesses here today that can speak more on the issue, and I understand Kimberly Berry with the Texas Workforce Commission here to serve as a resource witness members. Thank you for your time. I yield for questions and reserve the right to close.
Thank you very much. We'll call you back soon, okay?
Do you acknowledge Ordaz is present?
Yes. Let the record reflect Vice Chair Ordaz and the Representative Claudia is present. Okay. You want to vote?
We're in the middle of a bill, so you have to do this.
Okay. All right. The chair calls Sandy Do Chen. We show you registered as Sandy Do Chen testifying on behalf of Early Matters, Greater Austin, and yourself, and that you are for the bill. Is
Yes,
it
ma'am.
correct?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to thank you, Madam Chair, for all the work you did on child care last session and with lots of help. Appreciate that. Well, I'm here to support House Bill 1979 based on my more than 2 decades, yeah, I'm an old guy, of volunteer service on a workforce board while working first at the Greater Austin Chamber of Commerce and then IBM's large facility here in North Austin. I'm representing myself, though, and on Early Matters Greater Austin, which is a business-oriented advocacy group on early childhood education. What's my motivation? Well, we know that the higher level of quality child care that we can provide, the better prepared are young kids as students in the K through 12 system, pre-K through 12, and then in their work and family lives. Kind of logical. That's good for society and good for business. More than half the budgets, if not all, of the 28 local workforce boards are devoted to providing child care, mostly through federal dollars with good, strong oversight from TWC. This bill would create supportive policies and updates for the boards and posting relevant information on child care, including the number of high-quality child care centers offering their services through the boards. Sharing such information, data, and outcomes is healthy for everyone, from the parents who are looking for the best child care they can possibly find, and for policymakers and local volunteer advocates who are working to improve childcare through policy, funding, and training. Let me give you a local example. Here in Austin, the Early Matters Greater Austin Committee, which is part of United Way, and the City of Austin partnered with the Urban Institute to conduct a study on non-traditional hour childcare in our county. The study just came out recently. This is childcare offered before 7 a.m. and after 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. during the week or anytime on weekends. It's hard to find childcare centers that are open during those hours. The study found that there's a strong demand for that kind of non-traditional care and insufficient supply. It's ideal to support some of these non-traditional childcare providers. This bill would remove different barriers to help better serve the families with those needs. Hospital workers, restaurants, law enforcement, and other employees who aren't always 9 to 5. This bill would assure that workforce boards members include more business members from the childcare world, including provider owners and others who are working through companies or volunteers at nonprofits to improve service delivery. There's always a balancing act between what the state wants, some good standards across the state, and local initiatives and responding to local needs. And I think this bill kind of meets that balance. It kind of recognizes both. And so this bill really reflects common sense and a unified vision of improving childcare quality and access and data that benefits everyone in childcare while underscoring the essential value of childcare to everyone, to our social future and our economic competitiveness as a state. So I appreciate your support for this thoughtful approach.
Thank you
And I
very
have
much.
copies of my little statement if you want it.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay.
And members, any
Any
questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate you all.
Okay. The chair calls David Fagan. We show you registered as David Fagan testifying on behalf of Texas Care for Children and that you are for the bill. Is this correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is David Fagan. I'm representing Texans Care for Children for House Bill 1979. As has been stated, 1979 is a very thoughtful way to maximize our existing child care funding. It improves services for working families and for child care programs, and it will help TWC and the members of this committee and the rest of the legislature better track taxpayer investments and better understand the effectiveness of those investments. So TWC is responsible for overseeing billions of federal dollars in child care funding, providing financial assistance to working parents, improving the quality of early childhood education in our state. But to implement these funds, we do rely on the 28 local workforce development boards across the state. And boards in different communities have adopted really innovative local approaches and practices to serving eligible families and programs. However, the basic state policies to support these efforts can be adapted to improve outcomes for kids and families, because too often the services that families receive vary based on where they live or where they choose to go to work. So to boil it down again, 1979 just provides standard data on the effectiveness of the state's investments, including on things like wait lists and enrollment trends. It ensures websites provide the information that families rely on and childcare providers rely on to access basic services, including information about finding quality childcare or information on the state's quality rating and improvement system, Texas Rising Star. It establishes that board membership includes folks with a childcare background. When such a majority of their funds are childcare, it helps to have folks who live and breathe the business of childcare as part of these boards. And finally, it modernizes one-size-fits-all performance targets that limit the ability of boards to effectively address pressing local needs, like some of those that Sandy spoke about. So thank you to Representative Rainey for your leadership on this issue. Also, thank you to Rep. Lisa and Rep. Baumgardner, who have joint authored this bill. And thank you, of course, to Chairwoman Button for your passion on this issue and all your work. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions? Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. The chair calls Chelsea Jeffrey. We show you registered as Chelsea Jeffrey, testifying on behalf of Early Matters Dallas, the Summit, and the Summit partner. I'm sorry, need new glasses. And the Commit Partnership which I'm very familiar with. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
You are for the bill, is this correct?
This is correct.
Yeah,
Thank you,
please,
Chairman.
go ahead.
Good morning, and thank you, Chairwoman Button, Representative Rainey, and the International Relations and Economic Development Committee. My name is Chelsea Jeffrey, Managing Director of Early Matters Dallas at the Commit Partnership, and I'm here today to speak in favor of HB 1979. Many of you may be familiar with Commit, but for those of you who aren't, we are a data-driven organization that looks to see how can we identify best practices, replicate and scale those practices across the state in service of living wage attainment. Our Early Matters Dallas Coalition focuses on how can we align 200 partners around early education to enable the workforce of today and the workforce of tomorrow. We're one of 6 Early Matters regions across the state that represents over 40% of children 0 to 8 in Texas. And so I'm going to speak today a little bit about the data components of HB 1979. First and foremost, HB 1979 would support our local workforce development boards in utilizing current dollars to more effectively and efficiently publish consistent, transparent data that enables us to provide better childcare for our families and our children across the state. While TWC currently collects data around the number of children served for federal reporting purposes and is making strides to strengthen data collection and reporting processes, the collection and public reporting still varies widely across our state. This creates challenges to assess the effectiveness of services and the return on our investments. With local boards publishing and disaggregating quality and access data by zip code across regions, the state can better identify best practices and support local innovation. For instance, in DFW, our partner organizations are connecting families on child care scholarship waitlists with nearby open, pre-K, and Head Start seats. We're collaboratively using data to ensure all sources of public funding are used most efficiently to provide services, preventing duplication where it exists, and filling gaps where needed. This is something that could be replicated across the state with the support of HB 1979. This data would also improve the system for providers and families. Within childcare, it's difficult to identify bright spots like we can in other parts of the education ecosystem because the lack of aligned, consistent, geographically disaggregated data is not publicly available. As David and Sandy mentioned earlier, there's a performance target component of this bill that would allow local flexibility. We did a study as Early Matters Dallas in partnership with the Boston Consulting Group in 2018 that identified that 65% of our zip codes have a lack of infant and toddler seats to match our local demand. HB 1979 would provide local flexibility for localities to create innovative solutions to meet those local needs instead of just relying on the current performance target that's based on serving a number of eligible students. The continued economic prosperity of our state is dependent on a strong, sustainable childcare ecosystem. HB 1979 will scale systems that promote greater flexibility, transparency, and support for how taxpayer funds are used to provide childcare in Texas. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions? Okay, we're moving
you.
along. Thank you. The chair calls Melanie Robin. We show you registered. Hi, good to see you again. We show you registered as Melanie Robin, testify on behalf of North Texas Early Education Alliance and that you are for the bill. Is this correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, good to see you.
Nice
Please
to
go
see
ahead.
you always. Thank you. Thank you, Chair Button and Representative Rainey for your leadership on this issue, and thank you to members of the committee. I am Melanie Rubin, and I'm the director of the North Texas Early Education Alliance, here to testify in support of House Bill 1979. As you know, the childcare industry is a crucial infrastructure that is important to Texas and to Texans on 3 dimensions: to enable parents to work, to employ a workforce, and to provide an environment in which children can build a successful foundation to optimize their potential. Bill's last session, thanks to Chair Button, recognized the importance of breaking down barriers and increasing access to affordable, quality childcare, and HB 1979 builds on these strategies. House Bill 1979 strengthens the childcare infrastructure for parents, employers, children, and communities. It will add transparency and informative data to allow for strategic analysis for data-driven continuous improvement. It will also increase visibility and provide consumer-friendly information so that parents can access programs and go to work. Ensuring at a minimum a mid-performance target review will enable boards to better meet local needs, as their targets and funding will be adjusted to address cost differentials, including those associated with infant care, high-quality care, and care during non-traditional hours. It will also increase childcare expertise on the board to make sure fiscal allocations and decisions are informed and responsible. The bill's provisions in the committee substitute will have no significant fiscal implications for state or local government, but will allow local boards to have the information and flexibility to strategically meet their local needs. House Bill 1979 recognizes some of the shortfalls of the childcare system and will increase expertise, provide better information for parents, and significant data for decision makers to enhance the board's ability to meet local needs. Ultimately, the bill will maximize resources to ensure more responsive childcare for families, employers, and communities. Thank you.
Members, any questions? Thank you, you did a
Thank
good
you.
job.
Well, thank
Appreciate
you.
coming. And the chair calls Reagan Miller. We show you registered as Reagan Miller, testifying on behalf of the Texas Workforce Commission, and you are neutral on the bill. You are the resource witness.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am.
Members, any questions?
I do.
Oh, please do.
Ms. Miller, looking at the fiscal note real quickly here, the impact on federal funds and the assessment there, do you anticipate that with this legislation that would have an impact on those federal funds and on the assessment?
With the committee substitute, there is no fiscal note.
I'm sorry, there is?
With the committee substitute, there is no fiscal note. The section of the bill that caused the fiscal impact was removed from the committee substitute.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, I do have one. I realize the committee substitute came out and then they did not have the time to, their legislative budget board did not have time to come out the real detailed analysis. That's why the, Representative Shine asked that very important questions. And I also, just based on the old analysis they have, you might give us the update, or you might just tell us you don't really know the answer, okay? And Representative Rainey will dig out more for us. This analysis, the idea is wonderful, but this analysis, they bring out some concerns. They say that it will result in a direct reduction of services to children by approximately 10,500 in fiscal year 2024 and 10,100 in fiscal year 2025. Do you have any kind of, can you elaborate a little bit?
Yes, ma'am. In the original bill, there was a section that allowed boards to do a community needs assessment and to request that the commission reduce their performance target to allow allocated funds to be used to meet the needs of the community needs assessment. So funds could have been diverted away from direct child care into other quality improvement activities that were identified in the community needs assessment. That section of the bill was removed completely. There is no longer a community needs assessment provision in the bill.
Okay, that's excellent. That really relieve our concerns. Okay, thank you very much.
Quick
Oh, yeah,
question.
sure.
So basically, that statement that's in the fiscal note is really null and void?
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on for or against HB 1979? The chair recognizes Representative Rainey to close on the bill.
Thank you, Chair Button and members. Wish for your favorable consideration, and I close.
Thank you very much. And members, any more questions? He's on his way out. The substitute, no, I understand, everybody is real busy. The substitute is withdrawn, and HB 1979 will be left pending at this time. We have a little bit unfinished business we need to address?
Let's start with yours since she's gone, and then I'll grab her.
Okay. The chair lays out HB 4390 as pending business. Members, you remember my bill relating to the Texas Industry Recognized Apprenticeship Programs Grant Program. The chair offers a committee substitute to HB 4390. Is there any objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the substitute is adopted. Representative Odas, Vice Chair Odas, moves that HB 4390 as substituted be reported to the full House with the recommendation that it do pass and be printed. The clerk will call the roll.
Button,
Aye.
Ordaz. Baumgartner. Clardy. Hayes. Meza. Morales. Plasha. Shine.
Aye.
There being 8 ayes and 0 nays, motion prevails.
Just give me a second. Clardy, go ahead.
The chair lays out HB 2644 as pending business. Members, you remember this bill by Dean Craddock relating to the definition of qualified employee for purpose of the Enterprise Zone Program. The chair offers a committee substitute to HB 2644. Is there any objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the substitute is adopted. The Representative Baumgartner moves that HB 2644 as substituted be reported to the full House with the recommendation that it do pass and be printed. The clerk will call the roll.
Button,
Aye.
Ordaz. Baumgartner. Clardy. Hayes. Meza. Morales. Plasha. Shine.
Aye.
There be 9 ayes and 0 nays, the motion prevails. The chair lays out HB 3374 as pending business. Members, you remember my bill relating to the requirement of a qualified business participate in the Enterprise Zone Program during a certain period. The chair offers a committee substitute to HB 3374. Is there any objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the substitute is adopted. Representative Hayes moves that HB 3374 be substituted, be reported to the full House with the recommendation that it do pass and be printed. The clerk will call the roll.
Button,
Aye.
Ordaz. Baumgartner. Clardy. Hayes. Meza. Morales. Plasha. Shine.
Aye.
There be 9 ayes and 0 nays, the motion prevails. The chair lays out HB 4411 as pending business. Members, you remember this bill by Chairman Dutton relating to the apprenticeship system of adult career and technology education. The chair offers a committee substitute to HB 4411. Is there any objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the substitute is adopted. Representative Plaza moves that HB 4411 as substituted be reported to the full House with the recommendation that it do pass and be printed. The clerk will call the roll.
Button,
Aye.
Ordaz. Nay. Baumgartner. Clardy. Hayes. Meza.
Nay.
Morales.
Nay.
Plasha. Shine.
Aye.
6 ayes, 3 nays.
There being 6 ayes and 3 nays, the motion prevails. Yes.
There is going to be a floor amendment to this bill. You want to say that, huh?
Do what now? I didn't hear what you said.
No.
I've been working with Representative Dutton, and there will be a floor amendment to this bill as well. So just letting you guys know.
Thank you very much. The chair lays out HB 4451 as pending business. Members, you remember this bill by Representative Bajani relating to a report by the Texas Workforce Commission regarding apprenticeship opportunities in the state for emerging and high-demand industries. Okay, Vice Chair Odas moves that the HB 4451 without amendments be reported to the full House with the recommendation that it do pass and printed and be sent to the Committee on Local and Consent Calendar. The clerk will call the roll.
Button,
Aye.
Ordaz. Baumgartner. Clardy. Hayes. Meza. Morales. Plasha. Shine.
Aye.
There be 9 ayes and 0 nays, the motion prevails. The chair lays out HB 2872 and recognizes Chairwoman Gonzalez, my dear friend, to explain the bill. What an honor to have you.
Oh, thank
and
you.
you look terrific as you.
Wow, I should testify to this, should put a bill out in this committee all the time. Thank you, Chairwoman. Members, ever since I started the legislature, I have been working on an issue called wage theft. Wage theft was when somebody works and they are supposed to get wages and then those wages never come to them. This not only hurts the workers, but it also hurts honest business folks. So I'll give an example. My mother owns a trucking company, and for a few years, I helped her run her trucking company. And if you want to move a truck, you usually send out a bid, and this is how much it's going to cost, and you compete with other trucking companies for that bid in order to receive that load to move. Well, when other companies aren't paying their workers, they can bid less. And so what ends up happening is an honest business person gets punished for being an honest business person, and the workers get punished because their wages are being denied. And so HB 2872 is a common sense solution to addressing a very serious issue of wage theft. According to the Texas Workforce Commission, from 2016 to 2020, employers were ordered to pay more than $49 million owed to Texas workers with wage theft claims. In 2022, there were more than 11,500 Texans who reported wage theft. Workers hurt by wage theft find themselves unable to pay groceries, rent, health care, and other necessities. And in 2020, the average amount was $2,100. So how can we solve this? There's lots of solutions, but 2872 is just one way. A lot of times, people who commit wage thefts are repeat offenders. And so this bill, which I have worked with lots of stakeholders, so to make sure that it is also business friendly, just creates a database. So if you are convicted of wage theft, you are put on this database. So that now, let me say, in order to protect on business people, we have put in appeals and safeguards and make sure that the wrong people aren't put on. But what this bill does allow is if you're a worker, before you are working for someone who has a history of wage theft, to know that, hey, this business may not pay me my wages, because once it happens, it's really hard to remedy. So with that, I think we have one witness to hear a little bit about this bill, and then I would reserve the right to close, Chairwoman.
Yeah, I do have a question.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Because I heard this bill before, and I know I admire your spirit and your,
My consistency in trying to get it passed.
But I remember the concern, and the most important concern is that they might kind of, because we're putting all this data on the screen, okay, on the website. There are some small business people, they might not be kind of, later on, it's kind of like once you're on the blacklist, even later on find out it's not the truth, and also the change of ownership, but the company's name is still on the list, and maybe later on got removed, but then we don't want to be an extra burden for the small business. I think I talked to you privately before. Can you address that concern?
So there's three things. One is that the bill does, if you're going to be put on the wage theft database, you are notified 6 months before and you're able to talk to the Workforce Commission to get off. I mean, also this will encourage folks who have some complaints against them on wage theft for them to pay the workers, right? Because then they don't want to be in the database. Oh, so I'm just going to pay and we can move forward. And that's the first remedy. So let me go back. You've been convicted. It's very, very, very hard to be convicted of wage theft. So they're convicted of wage theft, then they're notified they're going to be in the database. They have 6 months. They, if they feel they have been wrongly accused to be put on the database, then there is a remedy with the Texas Workforce Commission that creates an appeal process for the businesses, and they have they receive their determinant by 21 days. That way they know that their name is cleared quickly. So let's say in your scenario, Chairwoman, if a business is sold, within 21 days, they're removed from the database and it expires in 3 years. So you're not on it forever. You're just saying in this moment in time, this entity that has been convicted, right? That means the courts or the agency has already determined you did commit wage theft, are on there for 3 years. Not forever, but only for a little while. So we did take lots of, I mean, a lot of people in this room have been so great. I never want to hurt small businesses, but also millions of dollars that is earned. It's like, would we allow folks to come in and steal cars and have no remedy? Would we allow folks to be constant offenders of burglary? Like, at some point, we have to say, like, wage theft is equivalent to real theft, and we do have remedies when it comes to real theft. And so this bill is trying to create a more proactive solution other than just being reactive, because ultimately the workers, they can't get that time back. They've already given it. So we just do want to find a happy balance.
Thank you for your excellent answer. Members, any questions?
Thank you, Chairwoman.
Thank you, Chair. And I'll ask you to come back later. Which Chair calls Ana Gonzalez. We show you registered as Ana Gonzalez testifying on behalf of Texas AFL-CIO, and you are for the bill. Is that correct?
Correct.
Please go ahead.
Good morning, Chair Button, Vice Chair Ordaz, and members of the committee. My name is Ana Gonzalez. I am the Deputy Director of Politics and Policy at the Texas AFL-CIO, which represents 240,000 affiliated working people across Texas. I am here to testify in support to HB 2872. Whether it's intentional or not, wage theft happens quite often in this state. Wage theft can happen through non-payment for work completed, failing to pay the minimum wage or overtime, uncompensated breaks, and having to work off the clock. Workers in low-wage industries, like in the construction industry, are hit the hardest. A study by the University of Texas shows that 1 in 5 construction workers report experiencing wage theft at some point in their careers. Not only does wage theft harm Texas workers and their families, but also responsible businesses. Filing claims and navigating the Texas Workforce Commission process for wage claims is often a long and arduous process. Additionally, many of these workers report that they have not received the wages lost for months, even years, after the claim has been filed. The TWC is tasked with investigating wage claims, but due to limited funding and enforcement power, the reality is that many employers who withhold wages are not held accountable. HB 2872 would provide a wage to hold employers who intentionally withhold wages accountable in an accessible way through an online public database. Like I mentioned before, the TWC process is long, and there are many opportunities to appeal for employers and claimants as well. By the time of the referral, the employer would have ample time and numerous opportunities to contest allegations. The employer would be given 180 days before the initial inclusion, and even after the employer is listed on the database, they would have the ability to contest their status. HB 2872 would protect workers and business owners alike from doing businesses with employers with a consistent track record of wage theft. and provide accountability for employers to pay employees fairly and consistently. We are grateful for your consideration and for this committee's support of this bill in the past. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Members, any questions? Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you.
Okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against HB 2872? Chair hears none and recognizes Chairwoman Gonzalez to close.
Members, wage theft is theft. Please help me make sure that we are making sure workers are not victims of wage theft. We would want to take care of families if their house was burglarized, if their car was stolen. We would want to take care of our business owners who are honest and good and paying their workers so that they are not paying unintended consequences by people who are not paying their workers. So this is a pretty common sense solution. As you can see, Chairwoman, there was really no testimony against, mostly because I have been so grateful to work with so many of our business organizations to make sure we aren't going to hurt businesses, but actually help them by finding a proactive remedy to a very serious issue of wage theft. So thank you, and I respectfully request favorable consideration of 2872.
Chairwoman, we know how hard you work and how effective you are.
Thank you.
Members, any questions? Okay. Thank you
Thank you,
very
Chair.
much. HB 2872 will be left pending at this time. The chair lays out the HB 4131 and recognize Representative Bales to explain the bill. Good morning.
Good morning. Chairman Button, committee, appreciate the opportunity to be here this morning. We have a very simple bill, but it's very important for our high school kids that are in CTE programs. This for the Jobs and Education for Texans, better known as the JET program, which provides funding for equipment purchases and installation for CTE courses, resulting in a certificate, credential of value, or post-secondary degree. Due to statutory limitations, some emerging technologies, such as anything to do with a subscription-based model, have been considered ineligible for funding. This bill amends statute to allow program grants to be used for finance, the acquisition, implementation, and ongoing maintenance of technology solutions necessary to support a course or program. This change will provide for the newest educational and workforce training technology to support Texas students as they prepare for the workforce. Madam Chairman, I stand available for any questions. I do believe we have an expert witness here, and I reserve the right to close.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions? Thank you. We'll ask you to come back. Okay. The chair calls Mike Maroney. We show you registered as Mike Maroney as testifying on behalf of Texas Association of Manufacturers, and you are for the bill. Is this correct?
That is correct, Madam Chair. Mike Maroney for TAM, 600 manufacturing businesses all across Texas, including 75 of the largest employers in the state. Yeah, we're very much in support of this bill. Thank you to Representative Bales for bringing it forward. 4131 just gives educational institutions more flexibility to obtain the latest equipment and technology to train tomorrow's Texas workforce. Enacting the bill updates JET statutory requirements to allow eligible applicants to acquire the best and most innovative workforce education technology solutions. And I'll just say that one of the applications that I've seen used that wouldn't be eligible currently, that would be eligible going forward, is virtual reality. These goggles that you put on and you can take a look and see career awareness opportunities, but also training opportunities. You can, in a virtual environment, learn how to do some sort of a task and practice it before you actually have to go do hands-on. So with this bill, that would be updated and allowed for those types of subscription services that are not currently allowed. I'm happy to stand for questions.
So I think the next step is you're going to put in the artificial intelligence.
That's okay. I think the technology is coming, Madam Chair.
That's right. Members, any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The chair calls Mary York. We show you registered as Mary Yoke testifying on behalf of Texas Workforce Commission and that you are on the bill. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Members, any questions for Ms. Yoke? All right, that was easy.
Thank you.
Like your pink jacket. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against HB 4131? The chair recognizes Representative Bells to close.
Chairman Button, members, this is a good bill to help better prepare our kids for the workforce. And with that, I close.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions? HB 4131 will be left pending at this time. Okay. Chair lays out HB 3900 and recognizes Representative Lambert to explain the bill. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Madam Vice Chair. Thank you so much for this opportunity to lay out House Bill 3900. Members, this relates to the money awarded from the Skills Development Fund. The Skills Development Fund, or SDF, is a training and upskilling grant program administered by the Texas Workforce Commission. Eligible entities include public, community, and technical colleges, Texas A&M Engineering Extension Service, workforce development boards, and community-based organizations partnering with any of the entities I just mentioned. SDF grants currently support startup cost and training programs. However, current statute limits access to certain high-tech training programs and requires equipment purchases to be 10% or less of the total grant award. An interim study approved by the legislature in 2019 found that the current percentage is problematic when implementing some of these grants. HB 3900 would raise the current 10% restriction to 25% for training equipment, allowing more funding flexibility for educational partners and opportunities to expand access to modern workforce training. We have witnesses here to testify on this bill, and I'd be happy to answer any questions and respectfully reserve the right to close.
Members, any questions for Representative Lambert? Thank you. We'll call you back. Okay. The chair calls Mike Maroney, and we show you registered as Mike Maroney, testifying on behalf of the Texas Association of Manufacturers, and you are for the bill. Is this correct?
That's correct, Madam Chair. Mike Maroney on behalf of TAM again. This is same song, second verse from the previous bill we just heard. It's an update. It makes perfect sense. We thank Representative Lambert for bringing it forward, and TAM is in full support of the bill. Happy to answer questions.
Wonderful. Let me just kind of clarify that so members don't get confused, especially we have the same star witness coming twice, okay? And the prior bill, Representative Bell's bill, is actually talking about the jobs and education for Texas, the JET grant program. And this bill, Representative Lambert's bills talk about the skill development fund. So make sure that, well, that's not a duplicated effort.
I didn't mean to imply that it was the same. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
two different programs, but both need to be updated.
Right, okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Members, no question? Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Who's next? Okay. All right, the chair calls Mary York. We show you registered as Mary York testifying on behalf of the Texas Workforce Commission, and you are on the bill. Is this correct?
That is correct.
Members, any questions? Oh, no, we're moving. Okay, yeah. Does anyone else wishes to testify on, for, or against HB 3900? The chair recognizes Representative Lambert to close the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I close.
Great. Members, any more questions? And HB 3900 will be left pending at this time.
She has a layout, so we're gonna go.
Sarah. The chair lays out HB 2598 and recognizes Representative Gamis to explain the bill. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairwoman Button. Good morning, members. I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to lay out and explain HB 2598. This bill proposes a soft skills pilot program involving professional etiquette, time management, communication, and leadership skills, which would unroll in Cameron County and be administered by the Texas Workforce Commission. It would provide for 6 weeks of professional development opportunities to Texans and award participants a certificate of completion for the program. The pilot program would begin September 1st of 2023 and run through December 1st of 2024, by which the Texas Workforce Commission is required to evaluate the program effectiveness and produce a report including recommendations for statewide programming. The lack of these soft skills have been cited across various industries in the state and often impact employee retention. Cameron County Workforce Solutions currently has a 20-hour course for the last 5 to 6 years, and it has been successful in response to employer concerns. Their program content has even been incorporated into speech classes by our Brownsville Independent School District, who to further address this gap in soft skills locally and wish to prepare students for the workforce in the future. This bill would provide an avenue for robust action to address soft skills in the workforce and potentially, hopefully, expand the program in the future to the rest of the state. So in essence, something that we find ourselves seeing is we have kids graduate from high school, they've never been involved in the workforce, they've never had the formal experience of interviewing. So maybe it's the issue of finding proper attire, learning proper etiquette to address with an employer. We really feel like these soft skills are necessary and hopefully will help our employment issues in the future. And I would love to answer any questions or reserve the right to do so in the future.
Members, any questions? Yes.
Quick question. This is strictly a local bill?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It'd be a pilot program,
What
just
it look
local.
like, okay. And we have a resource witness coming? Okay. I have another question.
Yes, sir.
Members, any other questions?
Chairman.
Yes.
Thank you, Representative. You mentioned there was kind of an existing program that was being done through the high schools. Did I hear that correctly?
It's currently being done through Cameron County, Texas Workforce, and yes, we have partnered with BISD.
Okay. And so what's the difference between that program and this program?
It's more lengthy and more robust. The current program, I believe, is only 20 hours.
Right.
This program would be more along the lines of 5 to 6 weeks. So far more robust and far more intensive.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Members, any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you,
We'll call you
Chairwoman.
back. The chair calls Courtney Amber. We show you registered as Courtney Amber Arbor, testifying on behalf of Texas Workforce Commission, and that you are on the bill. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay. Members? Okay, yes. Representative Shum.
So this is a local bill, but is this something y'all may be looking at from the Workforce Commission as possibly a pilot that might be used in other areas of the state?
Our analysis of the bill does build in an evaluation on the back end and then consideration to roll it out statewide based on the findings of that, what it costs, if the curricula can be replicated around the state and what the outcomes are.
So you will, as the Workforce Commission, you'll evaluate the pilot program to determine whether this is something that you may be coming back to this committee or another committee to pursue as something more of a statewide program?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Members, any other questions? Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on for or against HB 2598? The chair recognizes Representative Gamas to close.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you, members, for allowing me to unroll HB 2598. Our hope is most certainly that based on the tiny success that we've had with our 20-hour program, our predictions are that with this 5 to 6 week course that God willing we get through, we'll see more success and hopefully be able to come back and yes, ask for your help and support to enroll this at a statewide level. And I respectfully pray for your favorable consideration.
Thank you very much. Members, any more questions? HB 2598 will be left pending at this time.
Thank you so much,
for
Chairwoman.
coming. The chair lays out HB 3723 and recognizes Representative Gerdes to explain the bill. Thank you for your patience. I know you were here before 8 o'clock. We appreciate that.
Well, you know, being a freshman, we got to make sure we get our spot in line, and here we are. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you,
Madam
but
Vice Chair.
you do have quite a few witnesses. That's why we keep you, yeah.
Gotcha. Yes, ma'am, I
Now
appreciate.
they have plenty time, you have plenty time,
Oh,
okay?
well, we'll try to make it quick, pending questions, but I appreciate the opportunity to lay out this Bill 3723. This bill was brought to me by some constituents in Smithville and Bastrop County. Smithville is where I live. And while I was on the Smithville City Council, we set up a Smithville Workforce Training Program. And since then, in the few years of its existence, it has taken off and is now helping some surrounding counties. And what this bill does is there's been some federal grant money that's come through to kind of help get it off the ground, and then there's also been some other funds coming from St. David's Foundation and so forth. But this bill creates a rural workforce training grant program and provides job training, apprenticeships, workforce education courses, which creates great opportunities in rural communities. And they've been able to adapt and adjust, work with local businesses to find what's needed to educate the young kids or folks that are coming back to look for something different, to have good paying jobs and be able to provide a good workforce for the folks out in the rural communities, to keep them there where they can, continue to live and work and raise their families in this types of settings. In attendance, I've got some constituents. One that is the executive director of the Smithville Workforce Training Program, and she's gone around and spoken of the successes of this program to other counties to figure out how, to show them what can be done. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions, and I respectfully reserve my right to close.
Yes.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you, Representative Gerdes. You mentioned that there's federal funds, because I do see here that there is a significant fiscal note attached to this, that in the 2024-2025 biennium, the cost is going to be close to $360,000 from the GR. Can you address that?
Yep, that was for the Workforce Commission to hire 2 folks to administer the Rural Workforce Grant Program. This bill is meant to get the conversation started. I think it's very important that we have a program like this in rural Texas if they want to apply for it. I've seen the successes of what's been going on with the Smithville Workforce Training Program, and they've been very active in getting the grants, donations, and so forth that they can go after. And it's grown, and now that they're serving, the rest of Bastrop County, Fayette County, Lee County, and folks from across Texas have been coming to them to see what they've been doing and how they're doing it because of their successes in such a short time. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? I'm very happy to see that you brought this bill, because, even my district is in the urban area, in the Dallas County, but I always emphasize, and our team always emphasize a very balanced approach towards the economic development for our state. So, the skill force is definitely, training is a part of the economic development, basic tools. So I'm
Yes,
very
ma'am.
happy to see you brought this bill to
Yes,
us.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll call you back. Okay?
Great.
The chair calls Frank Leonardis. We show you registered as Frank Leonardis, testifying on behalf of Amber Industries, and that you are for the bill. Is this correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm here to support House Bill 3723. I'm the board chair for Workforce Solutions Rural Capital Area. I get the pleasure of representing 9 counties that surround Travis County, many of them rural counties. I'm a private business owner in Hays County, and workforce training is critically important, especially in our rural communities, to upskill existing workforces in those communities to be able to continue to grow those local economies here in Texas. Thank you.
Very good, short and sweet. Get to the point. Members, any questions?
Yes, I do.
Yes, Representative Shum.
Pardon me.
Well,
I thought I had it on silent.
You are highly demanded,
Yeah.
that's for sure. Yeah, go
So
ahead.
the grant program, monies, can you give me kind of a roadmap of the monies, kind of where they begin, where they come from, what's the pathway that they take?
Well, the infrastructure with Texas Workforce Commission is already in place to take those grant monies, funnel them through the local workforce boards, and work with industry, private trainers, public entities, and training programs.
Okay, so this is money that's already in the Workforce Commission. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know the answer to that.
We'll have a.
Yeah, we'll have a
Okay, that's okay. I'll wait for the resource.
resource
Okay.
witness. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The chair calls April Daniels. We show you registered as April Daniels testifying on behalf of Smithville Workforce Training Center, and that you are for the bill. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chairwoman Button, and everyone here on the committee. We also want to thank Representative Gertis for his leadership in this. I am April Daniels, the Executive Director of the Smithville Workforce Training Center in Smithville, Bastrop County. The Smithville Workforce Training Center was formed initially as a partnership between the City of Smithville, the Smithville Area Chamber of Commerce, and the Smithville Community Clinic to address the economic development objective of promoting a skilled workforce through training and providing a pathway toward a better quality of life for our area residents. Initial funding and staffing support came from the City of Smithville, the Smithville Area Chamber of Commerce, and a grant from St. David's Foundation. You should have a letter of support in your packets from the St. David's Foundation. Since then, we've received funding from Bastrop County, the Smithville Hospital Authority, Community Action, a variety of other funding sources as we've worked to draw together a coalition of public and private funding to begin what has really started out as a pilot program and has grown very quickly to include both the 3 counties of Bastrop, Fayette, and Lee. We were also very fortunate to be approached by Workforce Solutions Rural Capital Area to become a backbone organization through a large federal grant funding opportunity that came to only 2 funded groups in the state of Texas, 32 total in the entire country. Out of 500 applications that were submitted, 32 were approved. That brought just under $5 million to our Bastrop, Fayette, and Lee counties to help us roll out this grant program. We intend to train just over 775 workers over the next 2.5 years. The Smithville Workforce Training Center chose to focus on 3 critical areas of high need: medical training, skilled trades, and IT. A lot of that work was, that data came from the Workforce Solutions Rural Cap, as we realized that those were the high needs jobs in our rural communities. That also focused on living wages, $18 an hour or more plus benefits. And in the last 1.5 years, we've graduated just over 200 graduates in our various programming and intend, of course, to grow that substantially. We began reaching out to area employers to confirm the need for these employees, as well as reaching out to local stakeholders for support as we began to build a coalition. These stakeholders included just exactly who you think they would be: the chambers of commerce, the EDCs, religious leaders, county judges, school districts, ministerial alliances, mayors, civic organizations, and other elected officials, and engaged community volunteers. The point of these meetings was to begin to leverage local relationships and create a network of facilities in our rural communities where classes could be taught. For example, our local United Methodist Church had a vacant building. Through a chance meeting at a Lions Club, we started talking about that empty building and managed to turn that into what is now our dedicated medical campus, where we've taught over 150 CNAs, EMTs, phlebotomists, paramedics. And as we've grown those programs, we will continue to expand them to include certified medication aid, dental assistants, licensed chemical dependency counselors, et cetera, through summer and fall of this year. We were also able to enter into agreements with our local school district, and through the continued generous support of the St. David's Foundation, we are creating 2 large computer lab classrooms that will house 30 computers and also serve as a flex classroom space. We have also entered into agreements with the City of Smithville, the Bastrop County, Fayette, and Lee counties to create a 15,000 square foot skilled trades campus in what we call the show barn, which is just used twice a year for jamboree. So in rural communities, these buildings sit largely unused, allowing small nonprofits and coalitions to work together to leverage those spaces and create those training opportunities in our rural communities is paramount to allowing our local communities in rural cities and counties to retain our workforce. For example, Bastrop County has now dedicated a county road just for the use of commercial driver's license training. We've grown our programming throughout Bastrop County, Lee, and Fayette. The Giddings Public Library is donating their computer lab and meeting spaces. LaGrange ISD is making buildings that sit largely underutilized to be used for multiple training opportunities. Even the city of Flatonia has a space that they're going to let us use for training. All of this is just a small example of the kinds of agreements that can be reached that will allow us to bring educational providers to our rural communities. Educational partners like Austin Community College, Blinn Community College, Community Action, the University of Texas at Arlington has a rural nursing program they're bringing to our community where we're going to host a pilot program for them. Fayette County EMS, Texas Public Safety, many more educational partners. This bill, 3723, will allow the 191 rural counties in Texas to begin to even the playing field for workforce training. In my previous career as the director of the Smithville Area Chamber of Commerce, one of the first questions I was asked when touring potential investors through our charming small town was, where will I get my workforce? That's the question. Right now, there are almost no opportunities for local residents to receive quality certificate level training. That means we consistently lose our workforce to the urban centers where they tend to stay once they're trained. Creating a reliable pipeline of trained, skilled workers will allow rural communities to retain our young people, train our underemployed, and upskill our existing workforce. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Ms. Daniels, I am so impressed. Your little charming town, everybody work together, and you try to utilize every resources available, make the best out of every situation, and keep the ball rolling. And I commend on your great work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming to testify. Members, any questions? No, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. The chair calls Paul Fletcher. We show you registered as Paul Fletcher testifying on behalf of on behalf of Workforce Solutions, Rural Capital Area, and you are on the bill. So you are a resource witness?
Correct,
or,
correct.
Okay, yeah. Members, any questions? Or do you, okay. Do you have any presentation you want to go first?
I can just make a few comments if that's okay.
No,
Or
go.
I'm happy to answer questions either way.
Okay, go ahead.
So my name is Paul
Yeah,
Fletcher.
we have time, yeah.
My name is Paul Fletcher. I'm the CEO for Workforce Solutions Rural Capital Area, one of 28 workforce boards in the state of Texas. We cover the 9-county area that surrounds Travis County. And we're here today to talk about the impact of workforce training on rural communities. So in the 9-county area in which we work, we found over the past 2 years, when we analyzed the data, there's a return on investment of $3.55 for every dollar invested in workforce training. So I wanted the information to be in front of the committee as they review this bill and understand the impact this could have on the state of Texas. Our 9-county area is one of the fastest growing areas in the state and in the country. And we are in critical need of funding to ensure that the workforce is available for employers as they come to town. Those are my comments.
Okay. Representative Sean?
Yeah, I just, questions, about the grant money, kind of give me the route that it takes from its beginning to how it flows and gets to the end user.
So under current arrangements we have with the Texas Workforce Commissions, the 28 workforce boards are funded by the Workforce Commission with federal dollars and some state dollars. Those flow down through allocation methodologies to the various workforce boards, and then those workforce boards use those funds within their area to support local training opportunities for people in that area in support of employers from each workforce board.
So that's your resource, your pool that you work from?
That's correct.
Okay. And as far as the accountability of those funds and everything, that's handled through the Workforce Commission itself, or do you have any outside review of how those funds are granted out?
So the Workforce Commission grants the funds out. We're accountable back to the Workforce Commission for how those funds are.
So your overwatch is the commission itself?
That's correct. And
Okay.
each board is audited as well.
Thank you.
Members, any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The chair calls Jill Stroop. We show you registered as Jill Stroop, testifying on behalf of Smithville Workforce Training Center and yourself. And then you are for the bill. Is this correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, welcome. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Good morning. I'm Jill Struby, the Director of Economic Development and Grants Administration for the City of Smithville, and I'm very nervous. I'm the current chair also for the Smithville Workforce Training Center. It's an honor and a privilege to be here today to talk with you about the importance of workforce training in rural Texas. For decades, rural communities across the nation have faced difficulties in retaining talent and nurturing entrepreneurial efforts. As people have left these regions, and in Texas affecting about 200 rural counties, they've removed their resources and their abilities, leaving a legacy of disinvestment and neglect. As economically disadvantaged counties, these rural communities struggle to survive. In order for rural communities to truly thrive and reach community and economic development goals, these resource-poor communities need to secure funding from outside their small towns. HB 3723 represents a terrific investment in rural Texas communities. And thanks again to Representative Gerdes to bringing this forward. Economic development researchers have found that one of the best ways for funders to make a positive return on community investment is to focus on workforce training. One of the most effective drivers of a thriving society is through a solid education and training system that allows every individual the means to build the skills they need to be a productive member of society, to make a living and to make a life. Urban Texas metropolitan areas also recognize the importance of their rural neighbors to the well-being of the region. Opportunity Austin, as the regional partnership, showcases how these relationships lead to stronger, more resilient, and healthier communities on a regional level. The communities that are able to invest in their people are the communities that prosper and accomplish great things. Researchers overwhelmingly find that employee and workforce training is beneficial to the bottom line for business and provides a means of ensuring continual quality improvement across all sectors and job descriptions. Better training generally means higher pay with extra disposable income. Families are able to invest in their communities, and again, the multiplier effect of every dollar that stays in the community can be a formidable force, helping turn small towns and rural counties around as every micro investment begins to make a tremendous difference. Community capacity building is never easy and can be excruciating and overwhelming, especially when resources are scarce. At Smithville Workforce Training Center, we have found outside investors, and April just rolled off a whole litany of all of the investors and partners that we've had who have seen the potential to make a difference in the lives of the students and the community as a whole. And we've had the support of a number of funding partners, including, as she said, Smithville, the City of Smithville, St. David's Foundation, Workforce Solutions, Rural Capital Area, Economic Development Administration, our own Hospital Authority Board, and many, many other organizations and individuals who understand how important the training center is for our community. The partnerships that coalesce as programs get off the ground are key and imperative for success. The Smithville Workforce Training Center could not have accomplished nearly the same outcomes without the seed money from these funding partners. The impact that the Smithville Workforce Training Center and our partners have had on recent graduates are palpable.
the students can see futures and careers that one time seemed impossible, or they might never have even known what could be an option for them. They're telling their stories and talking about their experience with the Workforce Training Center, excited about the opportunities that have opened up for them. This is especially important in our most vulnerable communities, which includes sometimes people who at this time may not even be counted among the group currently seeking employment. Seeing the accomplishments of friends, neighbors, and family members can help people consider looking into workforce training centers in rural communities across our state to have this kind of success. And success breeds success. Our goal is to replicate this program across the state. We've always we started with that idea that this pilot project would then become something that we could expand. We could help other communities understand how to help their own people to help them thrive. And with this dedicated funding, that goal would be attainable. And I thank you today for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Stroop. You couldn't tell at all that you were nervous. You did a wonderful job. Members, any questions? Yes, please. Oh, Representative Mesa.
I'm sorry. Running away, I'm sorry.
Yes, I wasn't gonna let you get away. So my thought, as I hear the different speakers, is that we want to attract economic development to the rural areas.
Yes, ma'am.
And in order to attract economic development, we need to show them that we have the skilled workforce there.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we want to keep our people in the rural areas so that they don't all leave all the small towns and rural areas to go to the big cities to work, because there are job opportunities for them there.
Exactly.
So how do you make sure that the two are working together, that that you have the skilled workforce there, already there? Sometimes it can't already be there when a business maybe is looking to locate. They want a skilled workforce and maybe they're looking at IT or certain skilled trade or something. Then do you then promise them that you can ramp up and train people to provide them the skilled workforce? Or if you, and then on the other hand, if you're training people in a certain skill, how do you promise them that they have a job after they get that skill, and they won't take the skill that you trained them in and go to the urban areas with that skill to get a good job? I was just wondering how all that's going to fit in together.
Oh, sure. So the first part about the businesses coming into the community, is that the right way that you? So part of what we're trying to do is we're designing a program through the Workforce Training Center, and April can probably give you a whole lot better specifics about that. But what I can say is that we're doing this program so that when a company comes in needing skilled workforce, that we are working together with them to provide a curriculum that will specifically help that individual business. And so and that includes the businesses that are here in the community, right? So if they need to expand their business, or we have a problem finding welders. So if they come to us to say we need to have a curriculum specifically for these types of skills, then we can start to develop those programs that really meet very individualistic needs of the employers that are here or that may be coming into town. As far as the workforce, we've been working very much with Rural Cap. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Take your time.
Thank you. Workforce Solutions, Rural Cap, thank you. Pardon me. To make sure that we're finding those skills necessary by what's in demand, so that we're making sure that when we graduate those students, they are going to be able to find jobs. And we're working with employers to make sure, like, for example, we have a very strong partnership with our local nursing home, and they have a nursing home in town, and they have, is it 9 other nursing homes throughout the local area. And so we've been able to help to find the workers that they need to place them into those jobs. And we've had a very good success rate at placement. And we're going to be tracking, we're only a little bit over a year and a half old, so we're going to be tracking all of the workers, all the students that come through our program. We'll be tracking them for a year after graduation to make sure that they've been able to either retain the job, or if they need to find a new job, that they found a new job. But we'll be working with them. We have mentors in place so that they can make sure to be very specific, one-on-one with each of our students, as much as they need to be able to move forward with whatever skill it is that they're looking forward to do. Did I answer your question? Do you have more? All right. Sorry. Apologies. Thank you very much.
Representative Meza asked an excellent question, because, they're using this local effort, local resources, along with whatever we try to accomplish that. But you want to make sure that you're right. A lot of companies worry about after they provided. Well, I'm giving an example, like in the business world, a lot of companies provided the training. The next thing is they get a higher pay and they just fly away. And but I think you answered very, very properly that first it's based the training program is based on the needs in the community, and the people stay in the community must love the environment to stay in as long as they can find a job, and that they're not gonna move to New York or whatever just for a few bucks, higher. But on the other hand, it is very important to make sure that the local economy grows as they have more skills, and they might demand a better salary. It all makes sense.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Yes, ma'am.
And may I just say one other thing is that we also allow for upskilling, so that like stair-step ladder, so that if somebody comes in for a CNA, that they can add on to other, so that they can continue their educational process, so that they can build on each of the degrees that they have. Yes, ma'am. Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's very much hand in glove, working together with the businesses and making sure that the students have everything that they need to be able to move forward. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that. And the chair calls Donald Tracy. We register you as Donald Tracy testifying on behalf of yourself, and that you are neutral on the program. On the bill, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Chair Button and committee members, thank you for giving me an opportunity to testify on the bill today. I come before you as an expert in workforce development here in Central Texas. I've spent the last 25 years in community, economic, and workforce development arenas. In my professional life, I serve as Director for Corporate and Community Education for Austin Community College. In my experience here in Central Texas, there's always a great divide between educational opportunity in the urban core and educational opportunity out in the region. This bill would put a spotlight on something that's critically important, and I do want to amplify a couple of things that we've already heard on this bill. The key driver for economic development is access to skilled talent. Without access to skilled talent, companies don't come. Without a network of partners who are providing educational opportunity in the local areas, we don't retain companies. So creating a network, this bill would put a spotlight on creating educational opportunity out in the regions by driving partnership and connection across not just local entities, but regional entities, and that's going to be critical. In my work over the last 25 years, one of the great challenges that we face is having enough there to justify creating programs. And something like this bill will drive the kinds of partnerships across local and regional jurisdictions that allow us to generate enough students that justify creating programs. All of that leads to my final point, access. Access to educational opportunity is not just about there being a university in the region or there being a college in the region. Access means sometimes coming directly out to where people are and bringing education opportunity to where they are. Many people who could benefit from additional educational opportunity for a lot of different reasons are not accessing traditional pathways. This bill would enable the rural areas to start to generate accessible training and education opportunities. With that, I will close and answer any questions if you have any.
Okay, members, any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The chair calls Janice Bruno. We show you registered as Janice Bruno testifying on behalf of yourself and that you are for the program.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning. I'm Janice Bruno. I actually wear a number of hats. I'm the Executive Director for the Smithville Community Clinic. It's a free and charitable clinic in Smithville. And I'm a part-time county coordinator. Right now, I work basically in Fayette County for the workforce training in Smithville as part of the Good Jobs Challenge grant. I appreciate this opportunity. I'm going to share a brief background. I'm glad we have a little time. of how we began this journey and share the importance of the workforce training in rural Texas. In 2019, it might have been 2018, my colleagues, April Daniel, who you just heard from, and Jill Struby, were working on a project which looked at several factors to sustain our local workforce, specifically in Smithville and the surrounding areas. At the time, I was invited into these meetings because I was looking for LVNs, registered nurses, phlebotomy, patient care technicians for the clinic and our local hospital in Smithville and the surrounding clinics. In partnership with the Hospital Authority Board and our local school district, at that time, we were able to create a few stackable health pathways in the high school, which was awesome because, then we train our 11th and 12th graders. They move on. They've got a skilled trade. They can go work for the nursing home. They can go work for a clinic. But there was a missing piece was what is the follow-on training and where do we find the financing to train these folks and sustain the workforce? So in 2019 and during 2020, despite COVID, we continued to have our meetings talking about how we were going to form the non-for-profit Smithville Workforce Training Center, which, as you heard, was a collaboration between the City of Smithville, the Chamber of Commerce, Economic Development, and the Smithville Community Clinic. We started looking at all the factors that are very important to sustain a rural workforce, okay? Not only do we look at the access to quality education and vocational training, that's where we started working with the local community college, our local workforce boards, our local businesses, the nursing home, and the hospital. That's where we said, we got to look for pathways for our skilled trades and for our technologies. For example, in Smithville, we've got a company called Spiridrill. They're looking for welders. They're looking for skilled trades. In Fayette County, they've got a big company that makes heavy equipment. They're looking for skilled trades. We've got information technology folks that are looking for IT network administrators, network systems administrators, and that's in hospitals. That's almost in every business. I mean, do you ever have a problem with your computer where you need an IT person? So we knew that we had to do that type of workforce also. We also looked at what else do you need in a community? Well, you need affordable housing. So we've been working on that issue, which I'm sure a lot of rural small communities are working on this particular issue. And we've been, this is a continual work in progress because, okay, we're going to train the workforce, they're going to work there, but then they got to live there. So we looked at that. We looked at, okay, does the community have access to healthcare and facilities? So we asked and reached out to our local hospital authority board. Do we have accessible and reliable transportation services? We brought in carts. We said, okay, we got to bring them in as a partner to this coalition. We looked at all the community infrastructure. What was vacant? So we took the old tax office, and that was the vacant building. That became the Smithville Workforce Training Center. We talked to the First United Methodist Church. You got an empty building? Okay, let's make that into our educational center for our certified nursing medical program. And we're doing this in the other counties. For example, I'm in Fayette County right now working with Fayette County EMS. We'd like to make that the premier paramedic training center. And I've already spoken to their judge there. And so as we move to these different counties, we find these opportunities to create these coalitions so that we can create some synergy. Because if you're going to become a paramedic right now, you got to travel in the rural communities like 70, 80 miles to go get your training, whether that be through ACC or Blinn or through TEACS or Texas A&M. So we're looking at opportunities there. We also looked at available, of course, April mentioned we want that prevailing wage. We want that living wage, right? So $18 or more an hour. And then you have to have broadband because what do people want to do? When we do our employer surveys, they want to work from home. A lot of these jobs you can work from home. So we wanted to make sure we have that infrastructure. And then the support for the entrepreneurship and small business development. That's that whole incubator piece. But finally, and why we're here today, is we're trying to access financing and capital resources for businesses and individuals in the community. So in August 22, we wrote this grant, never thinking we'd get a federal grant like we got, 2 out of whatever in Texas out of 500 applicants. And we were like, oh my God, this is a lot. But we were very excited and I think it's brilliant. We'll train over 770 students and we'll place over 350, 375 students. But we all know federal dollars will go away. So we want to sustain and grow this model, not just in Bastrop, Fayette, and Lee County, but spread it out throughout all the rural counties in Texas, because it's doable, it's attainable, especially if you get coalitions of folks that really buy into this program. So why is this important? Research tells us to establish a program for rural workforce. First off, we know that it will boost economic growth. It helps to create jobs, it drives innovation, and strengthens local industries. And we're already seeing that happen. We're already seeing the excitement happen in the rural community. It addresses all the skills shortages. Right now, we have significant skills shortages in RNs throughout the whole state of Texas, LVNs, behavioral health counselors, skilled trade professionals, CDL drivers, welders, HVAC. I mean, you ever looking for someone to come fix your air conditioner? There's a shortage of skilled trade workers out there. So we want to create those training programs that could provide the workers with the skills they need. It supports small businesses. Rural communities in Texas are largely made up of small businesses. A grant program that can help provide funding to these businesses to enable them to grow and compete in an increasing global economy. We talked about this earlier. It reverses brain drain. Many rural communities in Texas are losing their younger, more mobile residents to the larger cities. A grant program that would invest in workforce development can help reverse this trend by creating job opportunities and provide the training that encourages young people to stay in their communities. It encourages innovation. Rural communities often have unique challenges that require innovative solutions. Investing in a rural workforce development can help to encourage entrepreneurship and innovation, leading to new business ideas. And it strengthens communities, and that's what we've really found in Smithville. We're investing in our rural workforce. It's helping to strengthen our own community. It's providing stability and opportunities for our young students that are graduating and for those that already live there. It can create a sense of pride in our local businesses and industries, and it helps attract new residents and businesses in the area. We've seen this happen with our certified nursing program with our Towers Nursing Home. We've graduated over 120 students, and we're able to fill all those positions. And as we age, we'll all probably be there one day, and we'll want one of those great CNAs that are trained, correct? So overall, investing in the rural workforce development is a smart way to support economic growth, address the skills shortages, and it promotes thriving communities in rural Texas. One of the things someone asked earlier is, how do we guarantee that an employer will hire that person? So what we've asked to do in this particular grant that we're working on now and we'd like to sustain is we say, hey, would you sign a commitment letter? I mean, there's really nothing legally binding about it, but now we have the partnership. For example, the hospital says, I need 5 RNs. Will you train me 5 RNs? We commit back to them. We will place 5 RNs into that particular industry. Same thing with welders, same thing with electricians.
Thank you very much.
So we hope you support the bill.
Thank
and,
you.
Thank you for considering this extraordinary opportunity.
Thank you
Are there
very
any
much
questions?
for coming. Yeah.
Thank you.
And any questions? Thank you. Thank you. We try to wrap up because it will be very difficult for members to come back this afternoon. We don't want to miss out any. Okay, so Chair calls Courtney Armour. We show you as registered as Courtney Armour, testifying on behalf of Texas Workforce Commission, and that you are on the bill. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, members, any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And is there anyone else who wishes to testify on for or against HB 3723? Chair recognizes Representative Gerdes to close, and you did such a great job getting your community, sending so many outstanding witnesses to share the insights with what's going on. I comment on your not only a freshman, but also enthusiastic freshman. And I appreciate your patience as well. Yeah, I know you've been sitting there since.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, we are passionate about this, and we've seen some of the successes that it's yielded in our small community of Smithville, and we think that it would be a benefit to the folks in other rural communities in the state of Texas. And I'd ask for the committee's favorable consideration, and with that, I close.
Members, any questions? Thank you very much. HB 3723 will be left pending at this time. The chair lays out HB 5264 and recognizes Representative Bowers to explain the bill. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Chairwoman Button. Thank you, Chairwoman Button and Vice Chair Ordaz, and members of the International Relations and Economic Development Committee for the opportunity to lay out House Bill 5264. House Bill 5264 relates to the adoption and use of certain performance indicators to measure and evaluate career, school, and college programs. Currently, there are no oversight or reviews on quality and standards of trainings for Texans who are pursuing a certification or license through a career school or college programs. House Bill 5264 aims to establish necessary oversight and quality standards for career schools and college programs by directing the Texas Workforce Commission to develop performance indicators which will be used to evaluate and measure the quality of learning and achievement of students enrolled in these programs. Programs will be assessed based on factors such as industry recognition, completion rates, availability of certifications or licenses, and alignment with the industry's best practices. HB 5264 further requires the TWC to develop a methodology for determining minimum acceptable standards based on these indicators and evaluate 20% of career school and college programs annually. Programs that fail to meet the standards, the minimum standards, will be ineligible for contracts with local workforce development boards, and lists of complaint programs shall be published annually starting September 1st of 2024. Furthermore, House Bill 5264 will protect students by making sure that they are not wasting their time, their money, or other resources on subpar programs. It will help employers recognize strong employees, and it will keep Texans safe by ensuring our truck drivers, allied health service professionals, and other vocational workers have been given appropriate training. Regarding the fiscal note, TWC has assured us that they will be zeroing it out, and that infrastructure is already in place to enact this legislation. So I believe I have a resource witness from the TWC that can testify for that, and I am always going to be available for questions and to work with you all. Otherwise, I reserve the right to close.
Members, any questions? Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah. The chair calls Renzo Soto. We show you registered as Renzo Soto testifying on behalf of Texas 2036 and that you are for the bill. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Chairwoman Button, Vice Chair Ordaz, and committee members. Thanks for the opportunity to testify today. Texas 2036 is supportive of House Bill 5264 for many of the reasons already laid out by Representative Bowers. We believe this already strong bill can be further strengthened by including additional language that would leverage the ongoing work of the Texas Tri-Agency Workforce Initiative as charged by legislation that passed through this committee last session, and I'd be remiss if I did not thank the committee for their leadership on that last go-around. As part of that work last year, the Tri-Agency adopted the state's first set of statewide workforce development goals, which included a goal of having 60% of working-age Texans earn a post-secondary credential of value by 2030, with more than 70% of all Texas jobs requiring some kind of post-secondary credential by 2036, but less than 48% of Texans currently having that type of credential. We do have room for improvement in ensuring that Texans are ready for the workforce. So in addition to this bill's language already requiring assessment of a career program's linkages to certifications and licenses, Adding linkages to other types of credentials of value ensures that state funding is being used to help accomplish the state's goals. In addition to that, the tri-agency is also charged with ensuring Texans who go through a state career or education training program are ending up meaningfully employed with a wage that's high enough to be self-sufficient, which is defined in statutes as a wage high enough to afford a basic, Texans and their families' basic needs like food without public assistance programs. And so under HB 5264, TWC is already going to be looking at available employment opportunities linked to career school programs, and it would benefit Texans if the agency also took a look at employment opportunities that lead to a self-sufficient wage. This helps identify which programs have good returns on investments for Texans while having the dual impact of providing Texans with a job paying enough to transition them from public assistance programs. I do want to reiterate lastly that we do think that this bill is already a good bill. I had an opportunity to speak with Representative Bauer's office about these suggested enhancements, and we'll work with them on the best path forward, of course, without adding to the fiscal notes. That's it. Thank you very much. Happy to answer any questions.
Members, any questions? Thank you very much. The chair calls Carrie Ballast. Good morning. We register you. We show you registered as Carrie Ballast, testifying on behalf of Texas Workforce Commission, and that you are neutral for the bill. Is that right?
That is
Neutral
correct.
the-
Yes, ma'am.
On the, you're neutral. That's not English. Neutral. You're neutral on the bill, yeah.
Correct.
Members, any questions? All right, Representative Bauer did a good job, and Mr. President also did a good job. Thank you very much, okay? Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against HB 5264? Here now, the chair recognizes Representative Bowers to close.
Thank you, Chairwoman Button, and I don't take that lightly, your comments on, but I will attribute it to working with great people and great staff, so we can't do this work alone. Thank you, Chairwoman Button, and again, members of the committee, for allowing me to lay out House Bill 5264. And again, 5264 seeks to ensure that Texans are protected from enrolling in programs that do not align with industry standards. The transparency this bill creates will assist employers in identifying strong candidates who have completed programs that are recognized and valued by their respective industries, ultimately leading to a more efficient and effective workforce and a safer Texas. With that, I ask for favorable consideration, and I close.
Members, any more questions? Thank you very much. HB 5264 will be left pending at this time. There will be no further business. The Committee on International Relations and Economic Development is now adjourned.